Welcome back to the channel. It's day 17 of NaNoWriMo and day 108 of me working on my novel. Today was another long day. Primarily I worked outside. I'm still in that process of trying to split and stack the wood that I had to cut the other day. I think there's a chance of rain for Saturday, so I'm trying to get everything situated and put under the shed before that happens so the wood doesn't get wet. So that's kind of the way today went and the goal probably for the next few days. I started writing around 9 o'clock. All in all it went okay. It was kind of slow, but not necessarily in a bad way. I'm like 78% of the way through this scene, and I introduced a new character. She's a little crazy, so I don't know if she's gonna remain, or pop up in other parts of the book. I'm not sure, but she fits, I think, for what I'm trying to do in this scene and what's taking place. So we'll see how that goes. In separate news, I did decide to go ahead and set up a new Twitter, and so I'll leave the link to that in the description. I haven't posted a tweet on there yet. Probably the first tweet will be the link to this video. So, but yeah, I do want to try to use Twitter more in the future. There again, the past week and a half for me, time has been very minimal. And energy, really, too. I'm still working on that whole getting to sleep at a decent time. So once I get some of that straightened out, hopefully, things will calm down and I can be a little more productive as far as branching out with some of this stuff. There won't be a reading in this video, but I watched a video earlier and it sort of sparked some of this dialogue, so I'm going to get into this and hopefully not ramble too much. So the video was this author talking about some of her work, and I'm not going to link to the video and I'm not going to link to the author. Like, it's not relevant in my opinion. I mean, beyond the fact that it sort of started these ideas. So, but during this interview, the author said something to the effect of she doesn't think that, like, strongly moral characters are very believable, and that was sort of a point of, like, inner contention with me, because one of my main characters in my story is a very moral person. Like, that's a big part of who he is, like how he lives his life, and particularly like how he feels, and he thinks about stuff like that a lot, so it's very important to him. So I just wanted, this is going to be a ramble and I'll have to look this over, but I just wanted to get into that. I mean, certainly I think when you're writing, you want to avoid the whole notion of writing Superman, because you don't want a character that has no flaws, or is unbeatable, or is perfect, or whatever. Like, at least in my mind, like, that is really BS, and it's unbelievable, and it just doesn't work. It's not human. And the humanity of the characters is what is really interesting to me in the writing so far, beyond anything else. So I wanted to point out, though, like, having morals or following a certain moral code, that doesn't equate to this notion of being perfect. It's just a view of how a person feels, what they're passionate about, and the way they allow their heart and their emotions to lead them in life and what they do. So in my mind, there's a distinction there, and I think that can easily be explored in the writing. And to me, it just works, and I don't see that there's a confliction. So what she said, I was kind of like, I don't know about that. Yeah, I mean, some of this is redundant, but like I said, basically the character that I'm writing, he does follow a moral code, but I mean, he has vulnerabilities, he has fears, problems, insecurities, anxiety. I mean, like, he's certainly not depicted in the work as being this perfect person, you know, or this ideal that someone would look at him and say, oh, I want to be him, you know, or some BS like that. The morality that he decides to practice and believe in is just a facet of who he is. And that's really all I had to say. So yeah, it wasn't a long ramble, but there again, I'm still working on this whole trying to sleep, and here we are doing this video at almost 3 a.m. So it's late, and I want to try to write a little more before I go to bed. So I'm going to bring this video to an end. Yeah, like the video if you enjoyed it. Definitely leave me a comment. Lend some feedback about your feelings on, you know, characters who are moral or, you know, immoral or evil or sinister or whatever. Like, some of your views on that, because that's very interesting to me, and it would be cool to see what you guys had to say. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Also, I wanted to say, if you're using Twitter, there again, going back to what I said the other night, you know, and you don't post a lot of insanity, and most of it is your own words, you can leave me a comment and let me know your handle there. I will follow you. Definitely follow me back. As of now, I have one follower, which makes like a sort of empty room of the whole Twitter world. So yeah, it would be cool to have some more fellowship there. Yeah, I hope that all of you are doing well and that your stories are going okay. Hopefully, the next few videos I won't be completely exhausted and drained and sort of out of it. Well, that's all I have for now. Thanks for your time. Have a good night.